This is Bruce Friedman of Adult Site Broker, and welcome to Adult Site Broker Talk, where each week we interview one of the movers and shakers of the adult industry, and we give you a tip on buying and selling websites. This week we'll be speaking with Alex Luchinskiy of Delevit. We've added an events section on our website. There you can find out about all the B2B events in our industry, and there are discounts on selected shows. Go to adultsitebroker.com to find out more. Speaking of events, I'll be at the XBiz LA show January 13th through the 16th, and I'm looking forward to seeing everyone there and talking some business. Contact me on our website to book a meeting at adultsitebroker.com. To register for the show, go to xbizla.com. And I'm proud to announce I've been nominated for Community Figure of the Year at the XBiz Executive Awards as part of XBiz Honors January 15th. It should be an exciting night, and I hope to see you there. Now let's feature our property of the week that's for sale at Adult Site Broker. We're proud to offer a growing free porn gaming site with adult sex games. The site is owned by one of the top entrepreneurs in our industry. This niche site is designed with a streamlined, user-friendly HTML structure that speeds up load times. What makes this site unique is its hands-free operation. It runs on autopilot, so no daily management is required, making it ideal for someone who wants a passive, reliable revenue stream. The only ongoing effort involves uploading new games, which takes no more than 10 to 15 hours per month to add hundreds of titles, ensuring a continuous stream of fresh content. The site is perfect for someone looking to enter or expand in the adult gaming space. The total number of adult games live to date is 3,397. 93% of the traffic is direct or organic. There's an extensive network of high-authority backlinks built over several years. Many of these links come from permanent guest posts on respected, high-authority domains, offering sustainable SEO strength that requires no ongoing maintenance costs. This strategic backlink portfolio boosts search engine ranking and organic traffic that newer sites can't match. Only $1.2 million. Now time for this week's interview. My guest today on Adult Site Broker Talk is Alex Luchinskiy of Delevit. Alex, thanks for being back with us on Adult Site Broker Talk.
Great to be here, Bruce. Thank you.
It's great to have you back. Alex is the founder and CEO of Delevit, an innovative platform designed to streamline DMCA and legal compliance for website owners and operators. Alex immigrated to the U.S. from Ukraine at an early age. In his adult life, he's been in the electronic and cybersecurity industries. With his background in cyber, Alex and his team designed Delevit to help webmasters save time and reduce their legal risks. His experience in the field has shaped him into a strong advocate for digital rights protection, bringing a practical solution to one of the most pressing challenges online platforms face. Delevit came into existence as a platform that empowers website owners to efficiently manage all types of legal notices and content removal requests, all while protecting their operations from potential liabilities. By automating the manual processes of handling infringement notices and swiftly removing infringing content, Delevit puts website owners in control, ensuring they stay compliant with regulations while maintaining the integrity of their platforms. As Delevit continues to evolve, it remains a critical tool for anyone in the digital space looking to optimize their compliance processes and navigate the evolving complexities of internet regulations with ease. That was easy.
That was beautiful.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you very much.
I'm not even sure what we're going to talk about now.
Yeah, I don't get what I do called beautiful very often, so I'll take that as a victory. Alex, what inspired the creation of Delevit's compliance platform?
Well, as you know, we began on the creator side, and we helped creators with filing DMCA notices. And from speaking with a lot of webmasters and from seeing this whole process take place, we realized that a lot of it is very manual and it's also time consuming.
Right.
And I've never met a webmaster who enjoys receiving DMCA notices.
True.
So with that in mind, we got to thinking and we realized, what if we make that process simple? What if we take the pain out of that process? What if we automate everything that could be automated? What if we take it out of the email inbox where it sits with all kinds of other crap? And even if it doesn't sit with all kinds of other stuff, it's still in an inbox where you're manually typing responses, where you're manually reviewing content.
Right.
It's not great.
So how is Delevit different then?
So Delevit provides an actual UI rather than an email, and it receives the notices within that interface, within the platform.
Okay.
It validates whether the notice is complete legally, whether it includes all of the right parts and pieces. After it validates that, gives the webmaster link level control, so they're able to very quickly, with a single click, say whether this particular content is infringing while on that content, or whether it's not infringing and how it's not infringing, which allows them to populate their whitelist and further automate their process.
So if somebody comes back to them with the same request, it would immediately say that it's whitelisted, right?
Exactly.
That's awesome. So how does Delevit address the unique challenges faced by the adult industry?
Well, from what we've encountered so far, the adult industry is probably the highest, probably receives more reports than any other industry. There's more content disputes, I should say, than in any other industry. Some of them are copyright related. Some of them might be age verification related. Some of it might be abusive content related, whatever the case may be. But there are a number of different reports, and we wanted to create a platform that can receive all types of these reports, that is completely configurable, where you can pre-create the different types of responses that you want to have. And for example, let's say somebody wants to validate the age of the performers in a particular video. If you have your 2257s, you can actually let our system know that, hey, this content is compliant. And the next time this content gets reported, it already knows. And then our goal is to provide APIs for the future. So when you update or when you upload new content, you could update additional information to it. So if that content ever gets reported, you don't even need to deal with it. The system is just going to deal with it on its own.
So when you say age verification, that's not age verification in the sense that we're all hearing about age verification in the industry. It's verification in the 2257 sense.
Yes, in the sense that there are various agencies that report what they perceive to be CSAM. And for example, a teen's website where every performer is 18 and over could potentially end up on their hit list. And it's not necessarily legitimate claims. And instead of being forced to disable that content, they can automatically reply very quickly with the proper information that alleviates the legal liability in that situation.
So it automated, in an automated way, it says, we have valid 2257. This is not a valid claim.
Exactly. Yes.
Wow. What are the core features of your compliance platform? Why don't you run it down for us?
Sure. So some of the core features would be the visual review plugin, which allows you to see the content that's being reported one link at a time and sort that content accordingly. Another key feature that works with that visual review is being able to create what we call safe link tags, which basically gives it a name. For example, owned content, right? Okay. Owned content would be things like your logo, your banner, other content that you've created internally. And if that content is ever reported, then it automatically gets marked as owned, and there's a reply that gets tied to that. So it doesn't just say we own this. You can customize what text goes into that particular reply. Mm-hmm. And you can create as many of these tags as you want.
Right.
So that's another key feature. Then there's also the whitelist management, which currently you can manage all the different types of links that are safe and then all of the links that are removed. Another key feature is we update Google with removed links. Our goal is to get websites fully compliant and to eliminate the ability of people to be able to report directly to Google.
Okay.
So that's another key feature. And we are adding things like file attachments as well, which will work for proof of copyright ownership and 2257 if the websites want to provide additional info.
Okay. Would owned content also cover actual video clips and content?
Anything with a link, anything that gets reported has a link. Right. And the safe link would apply to that link, right? Mm-hmm. So if somebody reports a video for whatever reason and you have a reason of why it's safe and you've attached that reason to that link, every time that link gets reported, it replies with that reason.
Okay. Who are your clients? I would imagine that this is something that would be very attractive to, for instance, tube site owners who get a lot of DMCA requests. On the other hand, I'm sure your clients would probably also, of course, be the people who own the content, right?
We are currently targeting webmasters of all types. And the way we're targeting them is we're looking at Google transparency reports. Our goal is to help them eliminate any type of Google transmissions. We also have some software distributors that's outside of the adult industry, of course, and we have some media companies as well. Okay. And our goal is to get to a point where a webmaster no longer receives any Google takedowns. So that's kind of the whole purpose of this, because Google takedowns really kill your search ratings, and it's not good for anyone.
So again, getting back to the question, your platform handles both sides of things, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It's two separate platforms.
Oh, I see. Okay. But they talk to each other.
They're not currently integrated. They're completely separate. They're not built on the same code. It's two completely separate platforms. There's currently no integration. There's no integration required because our compliance platform works. It can process any email notice. It doesn't even have to be a web form. Yeah, that's one big feature that I forgot to mention, that a lot of these types of platforms, they basically force you into a web form that people do their best to avoid. And when people see a web form, they just go straight to Google. Okay. So that's one key feature that kind of helps.
How do you differ from your competition?
From what we could find so far about our competition is they receive the notice on your behalf, they review it for completeness, and then they forward it to your email. So they basically stand in the middle and they just make sure that it's a legitimate notice that you need to reply to. And then you're still dealing with it from your email. There are some companies that I've seen that provide a level of case management, but I haven't seen anybody provide link level management and whitelist management to the level that we provided.
Okay. What are some of the common pitfalls adult sites face regarding copyright infringement?
Well, I'd say from my conversations so far with webmasters, I'd say the biggest pitfalls would be repeat false infringements. So people keep reporting things that they don't actually have the rights to, and they do it continuously and almost maliciously. And it's not even necessarily their fault, because there are a lot of DMCA companies that don't do a very good job of updating their whitelist. And false DMCAs are probably the biggest pitfall in the adult industry from what I could tell. And we keep track of each report. And there are laws on the books that do not allow false reporting.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually right in every DMCA notice. And
Right.
Theoretically, webmasters do have a recourse. Nobody's followed it yet. There's no case law yet.
Mm-hmm.
There's some case law, not necessarily in the adult industry, but the laws are on the books, and it's a matter of time until somebody's pissed off enough to do something about it. And we just want to make sure that we provide them the evidence they need to be able to get pissed off to do something about it.
Yeah, I've seen some things on the forums, like xbiz.net, that some of the companies have been coming together to fight the false DMCA notices.
Yeah, I've seen that as well. I've seen them say that they would issue them $100 fines. I think Groovy is the one that started it, if I'm not mistaken.
Of course, Steven. Steven's a rebel, and I love it.
Yes. I think it's awesome. I think it's absolutely necessary. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how legal that is specifically, but there are definitely ways to go about it the right way. And I think we can help get that done.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I've also heard of law firms that specialize in false DMCA notices.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Which ones would that be?
I don't know the names, but I've heard of that happening. You haven't heard about that, I guess, huh?
No, not specifically in false DMCAs.
It was a while back. Does your company handle other types of legal notices and compliance issues, or is it exclusively DMCA takedowns?
It could be any legal notice that comes in regarding anything. Mm-hmm. So it could be
like what?
An abuse claim. Okay. It could be a 2257. It could be even bullying or anything that's content related. Any type of an abuse claim or network abuse or anything like that, our platform can handle. So it's basically an email transformation platform, and it provides you link level management. So it'll receive any type of a claim. It doesn't matter if it's what exactly it says. It'll receive it, and it'll give you a visual interface to deal with that claim in a much simpler way.
Walk us through the typical process of handling a DMCA notice with Delevit.
Sure. So when a notice is received, a new notice shows up in the dashboard, you'd receive an email notification. You click on that, you're in the dashboard, and within the notice, you see every single link separated out, and you have link level management, link level control. So you no longer need to take them out of the email and put them somewhere else and figure out what links goes to what and which links need to be disabled, which ones do not. You can do all of that right within our platform with a click of a button. If links are already in your whitelist, they're already pre-sorted for you. You don't even need to deal with them. The ones that are allegedly infringing, you sort them to whatever they need to be. When you're done, you click next, and the person that's in charge of removing the links, if it's a different person, would receive a list of links, a filtered down list of links that actually need to be removed. And at that point, they would remove them the way they do now, or we could provide them with an API that will automatically remove it. And our platform sends all of the email communication to the reporter. So when they first send the notice, they immediately get a confirmation email. When the person who receives the notice sorts through the links, they get another email letting them know that these are the links that will be removed. These are the links that are not being removed and why. And then after the links have been removed, they receive another final email that lets them know that the content they requested has been disabled and what content remained online.
And why.
And why, of course.
How long does that whole process take?
Depends how many links come in. Like, I could give you an example of our video that we have, like a training video. Our training video is 3 minutes and 36 seconds, and it includes everything from setting up the platform and processing a complete notice with 8 links in it. And that's all done in 3 minutes and 36 seconds. And that's literally including configuring the platform.
Right.
So you can process notices in under a minute. If you fully populated your whitelist, you could process notices in seconds.
Okay. What percentage do you think of adult DMCA notices are valid?
What percentage are valid?
Yeah, from what you've seen.
It's hard to say. I think it really depends on the website. And I think it depends where they source their content. And I think it's just a very wide range. I think some websites have all legitimate content and they're dealing with mostly invalid notices. And,
so you think most of the notices are invalid?
Depending on the website, sure. Then,
if it's a pirate site, then they're probably mostly valid. But if it's a normal tube site that has legitimate content, then
depends who's allowed to post, right? If regular people are allowed to post on this tube site, then you never know.
Of course.
If the tube site is limited to, let's say, reputable studios, then chances are all the content on there is going to be valid. So I think it just really depends more on the users of the site rather than the site itself.
But you don't think industry-wide there's a number that comes into play?
I don't have enough data to put a number to it. No.
So what impact has Delevit had on the businesses that have used it so far?
From the feedback that we're getting, they're loving it. They're seeing reductions in time spent by a 5x to 10x factor. It really depends on the companies. Again, this is fairly new and we're still in beta and we're actually offering it for free to websites right now. So we can get the feedback and we can make additional improvements and make the system something that not only are they willing to pay for, but something that they're happy to pay for. And so far we're getting very positive feedback and they're loving it. Like the software company, they were receiving about between 1,000 and 1,500 notices per month. And because they had a web form on their website as the primary way to receive notices, they had 3 additional departments that were receiving DMCA notices because they had posted emails.
Wow.
And the problem with DMCA notices is, yes, of course, you can say that they need to be sent to the DMCA agent, but the reality is that if they're sent to your company in any way, shape, or form, and your company receives them in any way, shape, or form, they're technically still a legal notice that needs to be complied with if it goes to court, right? Again, it's more or less a little more of a relaxed environment in the adult industry. But for example, with, the software client, they've been sued. It's been a problem, and now they have 2 full-time people and a supervisor that deals with these notices and, 3 additional departments that were receiving it. Since we implemented our system, the additional departments are no longer receiving it, which is great. Yeah. It took a little while for people to catch up, but now that they have one email, that one email receives them. Their Google notices went down because people are not trying to get around that web form anymore, and they're processing notices 5 to 10 times faster.
That's awesome.
It's been overall great.
What do you think about the entire DMCA situation? Do you think it's about the same that it's been, or do you think it's getting worse?
I think it's not even what I think. I can tell you what the numbers say.
Oh, okay.
So according to Google, it's getting significantly worse. I mean, we're already, I think, over 9.5 billion links that have been taken down by Google alone.
Wow.
The number of creators that are reporting almost doubled in the last year and a half. The number of links went from, I think, 6.4 billion to 9.5 billion, which is almost another, 50% in a year and a half. So I would definitely say that it's not getting easier.
And I think that, I know that the website owners, the people who own the content, are getting more militant about it. They definitely consider this a major issue and are doing something about it. But the people who don't seem to be are the creators. Why do you think that is?
Well, I don't know if that's true. I mean, there's a lot of creators that are reporting. There's plenty of companies that help creators report, and most of them offer automated services. And I think these automated services, part of the reason why some claims are not very accurate, which is what's upsetting the webmasters, and they should be upset. I am 100% with them on this. I think it's a legal process and it should be treated as such. And with fully automated DMCA companies, that's not what it's being treated like. And the webmasters are left with the short end of the stick and wasted resources for dealing with notices that they shouldn't be receiving. And this is where I believe we can come in and actually help change the course of this by giving them the evidence that they need in one organized place to say, look, this is what's happening. Now we can fight back.
Yeah. But let's face it, a lot of creators are having content stolen. There's these OnlyFans, I forget what they call them, but they call
the leak sites.
Yeah, leak sites, which half the time all that is a redirection to an ad. But with things like that, they are having a lot of content stolen.
Oh, absolutely.
So how does your platform handle false or fraudulent claims? How can you tell the difference between a false and a fraudulent claim, or can you?
So there's several things that are being implemented right now in order to identify false and fraudulent claims. It's almost like a credit system. And the way that works is we leverage the network of the websites that we are helping by seeing how the claim's been treated before. And that gives them a risk factor. And another thing that we do is if the website that we're helping has verified and validated that they own the content, then we have additional steps that are automated in order to validate the claim before forcing a counter notice situation. So our goal is to minimize the amount of work that a webmaster would have to do by automating a lot of these processes. And we ask them to validate that they have access to the content they claim is being stolen, for example, right? And then we verify that with programmed ways.
What kind of support does your company offer to its clients in the adult industry?
Well, like I said, we're currently in beta mode, so it's all hands on deck. I'm 100% available. Anybody that gets involved now is definitely going to get a lot of hand-holding and likely very custom solutions for things that bother them specifically, because our goal is to make this process as simple as possible and to understand every type of situation that we can and cater it to as many people as possible. So the earlier people get involved, the more hand-holding they're going to get and the more customized and optimized solutions they're going to get to exactly what they're looking for.
But I'm sure that won't stop. I'm sure you'll continue to update things based on feedback, right?
Absolutely. We're building it out, right? Yeah. So if you have specific things that you're dealing with, it takes priority because there's not a lot of voices. And if, let's say, we have clients in many different industries, then it might take a little bit longer to get to your specific needs. Whereas right now we have a focus on the adult industry. So we are optimizing specifically for the processes within the adult industry.
Okay. How can adult industry professionals start using Delevit?
Just sign up. It's pretty simple. Just sign up on our website. And I'll be in touch and I'll send a quick demo video showing you exactly what it is. And
3 minutes and 26 seconds.
Yep. And that's it. And that's it. And you're off.
And your website is?
www.delevit.com.
DELEVIT. Just to make sure that people know how to spell that. What future enhancements, well, that's what I'm here for. What future enhancements or features are planned for your platform, besides obviously the custom things that you're going to do for your beta users?
Oh, there's so many.
Well, name them. That's what you're here for. Shout about it.
There's so many.
Come on, tell me.
We're implementing additional AI features that will do various things like notice validations. We're also implementing AI features that will check the content type. So, for example, if you've made one piece of content legitimate, it'll give you the likelihood of something that is reported incorrectly before you even get to it. So things like that. Then additional features that we're adding would be counter notice privacy, which is very important because right now, in order to file a counter notice, you're revealing all of your personal information. And that actually is not great because your personal information becomes public.
Public?
And nobody wants that. Yeah, because, for example, if you file a counter notice with Google, those counter notices can be publicly put into the Lumen database. Then we're also adding a legal AI assistant, which will be able to answer your questions about specific notices that you're receiving. There's additional counter notice workflows, such as platform user notification. And the goal is to basically automate as much as possible and to leave as little as possible for the webmaster to actually deal with.
That's optimal. They want to do as little as possible with DMCA, which they hate.
Exactly. And we want them to not have to think about it at all and just know that it's handled.
That's great. You mentioned AI, which is an interesting point, and it's something that is probably the number one topic on everybody's lips everywhere now. There's a lot of issues with AI. How does AI complicate DMCA?
How does it complicate it?
Yeah. I mean, AI copies of things, for instance.
Well, I mean, I don't know if that complicates the DMCA specifically. I could see how AI can create more DMCA type problems.
Yes.
Potentially.
That's what I meant. Yeah.
But okay. Sure. So that would be more on the content owner side, not so much on the webmaster side. That would be more on the enforcement side. But yeah, I could definitely see AI complicating it because it's making it easier and easier to create things that are derivative but not derivative enough.
Exactly.
I think that's one big reason why so many people lately have jumped into protecting their content. Sure. And why those numbers are shooting up through the roof, because original content is just becoming more and more valuable. And there's so many deepfakes out there that I think little by little, it keeps getting less and less valuable, the deepfakes themselves.
I think that AI is going to be something that the adult industry is really going to have to deal with, because obviously you've got the AI sites now and such, but yeah, people are going to do a lot of theft based on AI. And that's just going to be another thing that people are going to have to worry about.
Oh, absolutely.
How can using Delevit reduce the overall costs associated with managing copyright disputes for adult websites? You alluded to it earlier, but why don't we grind down a little bit?
Sure, absolutely. Well, right now, the process is pretty manual. And because it's manual, it's time consuming, and time costs money. And with our platform, we save you time, and lots of it. And by saving you time, we save you money.
Well, that makes good sense. You're from the mainstream, and I always like to ask this of people from the mainstream who come into adult. What's been your impression of dealing in the adult space and the people in the adult space so far?
I think it's very similar to any other space. There are a lot of people that are friends and friendly, right? There are different cliques, and there are people that get along and people that don't get along, and
like high school.
I think it's like every other space. I don't think it's very different from anything else. And I think there are a lot of people that care about a lot of very important issues in the space, and the space happens to touch on a lot of important issues, like things to do with, let's say, online safety and child pornography and, things like that, which again, I wouldn't even call it child pornography, right? Because it's not, it's like abusive material. And it's great to see that in the adult industry, people see it the same way. They see it as abusive material, even though some people would have you believe that that's not the case, but it is.
Yeah, it definitely is. And free speech.
And free speech. Absolutely. Yes.
Which is, you came from Ukraine. I think that there's not an amendment of the Constitution that's more important than the First Amendment.
I agree. I think it's important for us to be able to say what we want to say and to feel how we want to feel and to do that freely.
Yeah, and to express ourselves sexually, which is all part of it.
Absolutely. Sexually, religiously, every way.
All of it. And you've seen what's been going on with the attacks on the adult industry. We've got a website that we launched called The War on Porn, which posts the articles about the different attacks from the governments and the religious groups and so on around the world. But it's been really, really bad in the United States lately with the age verification laws. What's been your impression of this attack on adult?
The way I see it is the age verification, I think, is very important. I mean, there's a reason it's called the adult industry. It's meant to be consumed by adults.
I agree.
So whatever we can do to make sure that it's adults consuming the content, I think is very important. And
Agreed.
I think it's important to find ways to make that as seamless as possible.
Bingo.
So I don't know if it's necessarily attacks on the adult industry. I think it's more so attempts to protect children.
I have to differ with you there, and it's probably an issue that you need to dig into a little bit more, Alex, because the way they're going about it makes it attacks on the adult industry. There's not a legitimate person in this industry that wants kids to be able to watch our content. None of us do.
Oh, I agree.
None
100%.
of us do. And the people in this industry, a lot of them are family people. They have kids. None of us want to see that. I remember having Cherie DeVille on, and we talked about it. And she said it just makes her sick to her stomach to even think about a kid being able to watch her content. However, if they make the laws so onerous, kind of like the way the DMCA process is now, if they make it that difficult to verify age, where people have to give their IDs, you talked about Google exposing people's personal information. There's no assuring that if people put their IDs into these platforms, that the IDs aren't going to be exposed and people aren't going to have their identity stolen. So I think what everybody in our industry wants is age verification is not a problem, but what they want is something, as you said, that's a lot easier. And what would be easier would be device-based.
Yeah, I agree. But at the same time, I think it needs to be more of a combination rather than just focusing on the device, right? I agree with the device based. I think it's great because nobody touches my laptop, nobody touches my phone. And once I validate that I am of age, then I think those devices should have all the access that I have. And I think kids should have devices that are more tailored to them. I agree with you on that 100%. I think it's a good approach. I think a device-based is definitely a good approach.
Yeah.
I could see that.
Yeah.
I could see that working.
Hey, all kids have their own phones now, right?
Yeah, that's true.
God only knows.
That's true.
God only knows. Finally, what advice would you give to adult professionals regarding digital content protection?
I think the main thing to remember is that the DMCA laws are not getting any more relaxed. And not just DMCA, but all the other laws. Just how change is a constant in our universe, change is also a constant with laws. And that change is never to make them more relaxed.
Oh, of course not.
So with that in mind, I would say that it's very important to be vigilant about it. And I know that there are a lot of adult webmasters that ignore the DMCA, not the legitimate ones. Sure, I agree with you, but there are a lot that ignore it. And from what I'm seeing, the DMCA is just getting more and more strict. And they've recently taken away the statute of limitations for reporting.
Really?
On the DMCA. Yeah, before it used to be you had to report it within 3 years of it being posted. Now you can report it anytime. So it could have been there for 10 years and you can report it. And then from there, you have another 3 years after that to sue. Every DMCA notice is a clock. And maybe it'll run out and it'll be fine, but maybe it won't. And it's a 3-year clock, right? It's kind of like with the IRS, you can make a mistake and maybe it'll work out and maybe it won't.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Don't want to make those mistakes.
Exactly. So I would say that if your intent is to stay in business, then I think it's very important to be legally compliant, because legal issues are the ones that can kill a business quicker than any other issues.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. Talk to any attorney.
Yeah, they'll tell you.
Absolutely. Alex, I'd like to thank you for being our guest today on Adult Site Broker Talk. I hope we'll get a chance to do this again soon.
Thank you, Bruce. I really appreciate your time, and I appreciate all the questions. Thank you.
Thank you. My broker tip today is part 1 of what to do to make your site more valuable for when you decide to sell it later. First, make sure you're converting as much of your traffic as possible. Traffic's expensive, whether it's search engine traffic, review site traffic, or affiliate traffic. You paid a lot for it. So make sure that when someone lands on your site, you give them every opportunity possible to either spend money or do whatever it is you want your visitors to do. In the case of a pay site, make sure your billing options allow as many people as possible to buy. Have multiple ways to pay. In North America, most everyone has a credit card, but in other parts of the world, credit cards aren't used nearly as much. In Europe, for instance, credit card usage is low, so look for billing options that will match the areas where your traffic comes from. In Europe, ACH and debit cards are used a lot. In Africa and other developing nations, many people pay by mobile. Do your homework and find out how people pay in the regions you get most of your traffic. It will make you more money. The worst thing you can do is get a visitor, have them want to buy, but since you don't have their preferred way to pay, they can't. If you're looking for suggestions, feel free to get in touch with me via my website. Along with this is to improve your user experience. Make your site attractive and easy to navigate. People have more options than ever these days. I can't tell you how many sites I go to, even some that are owned by large companies, where the navigation isn't obvious to the user. You poke around for what seems like forever to do something that should be relatively easy. Keep it simple. Before you launch any changes to your site, ask your friends to go to the site and check it out. Unfortunately, designers and tech geeks don't think like us. You need real people to look at your site for you. The same kind of people who will be visiting your site. We'll talk about this subject more next week. And next week, we'll be speaking with Brad Mitchell of Mojo Host in part 1 of a 2-part interview. And that's it for this week's Adult Site Broker Talk. I'd once again like to thank my guest, Alex Luchinskiy of Delevit. Talk to you again next week on Adult Site Broker Talk. I'm Bruce Friedman.